Welcome to the I Tried to Be Straight podcast. We are having a technical difficulties day because we are doing our very first video session, and turns out I'm bad at setting that up. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry to our video guy. I'm sorry to Susie. I'm sorry to our special guest, which we'll get to in a bit. You may notice there is a laptop here. We're not getting to that yet, but we've got something special today. Also, I wanted to apologize for the drummer. This is an apartment, and there are drummers here, and he
Big
decided
drummer community.
he decided to start right when we started this podcast. Big drummer community.
Yeah, huge.
Are you okay? How do you feel?
Oh yeah, I like it.
How are you feeling about the tech support scramble?
I'm not shaking up at all.
You're
I
not
think
shaking
it's
up?
pretty normal.
Are you seeing a new side to me? Are you like, Nate's?
No, I think we
Nate's
should
going manic.
We should roll into it.
We should roll into it, like
Yeah.
channel this energy.
Yeah.
This is the tech support. We're stressed out energy, and the drummer is just not helping. It's like, hey, everything's going wrong, and the drummer is just drumming.
Adding to the chaos.
Adding to the chaos.
I love it.
I did also want to shout out, if you just heard that awesome music, speaking of drummers, my nephew is a drummer and a musician and a producer. He is the guy who did that intro song. So if you're wondering where the intro song came from, and if you're enjoying that music, Isaac Munoz, he's on Spotify. He's my nephew. He's a genius. I love him. And thank you, Isaac.
Thank you, Isaac.
Thank you, Isaac. But also, thank you for bringing your friend last week.
Yeah, she's awesome. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to have Lauren on too.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I met them briefly, but I never got to hear her whole story. And so hearing her whole story, there was just
No,
so much.
she's the
so much
best.
there. And I think she was big in your journey too, right? She was someone that kind of supported you as you were figuring stuff out.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You guys knew each other for a long time. I guess we didn't talk about that part.
Yeah. No, we've known each other for 2 years now. But she's just such an open, sweet, kind-hearted person that it feels like I've known her for so long. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for bringing her.
Tell us about the guest that you brought on today.
Okay, so this one's a little different. This one is straight. I'm sorry. She's straight. As far as I know, she's straight. I'm so sorry. And I'm really honored that she came on here because she was one of the girls I dated.
What?
Yeah, and I was probably the worst person to date ever because I was gay, obviously. And so we connected after I posted my TikToks, and we had a little chat, and I apologized, and she was very gracious. And then I asked her if she wanted to jump on the podcast.
This is going to be a juicy episode.
This should be a juicy episode.
Very telling.
Very telling.
Revealing.
You'll get to see a glimpse of me in the weird stages of figuring this all out.
Man, so you really tried to be straight.
I really tried to
You
be straight.
bamboozled this sweet, sweet girl.
This is one of the victims. We should have a victim session. This is I tried to be straight victims.
No, I hate this.
And victim number one, we have Makenna.
Makenna.
Hi.
Introduce yourself, victim number one.
Yeah, my name is McKenna, and Nate and I met, I think was it 2016?
Sounds
I
right.
moved down to Sacramento from Washington State for school, and knew a couple people in the area that went to Jesus Culture, and so I was like, I'll go to this church. And that's where I met Nate, and, I thought he was cute. We had, the same circle of friends, and yeah, one day I got a DM, and we started talking, and then we went on a date, and the date was fine. Like, we had a good conversation, and kind of got to the bottom of, like, it was kind of sort of a setup. Is that right, Nate? Like, would you say it was kind of a setup?
Yeah, so I didn't say this fully, but I talked about this in my last podcast. My mentor at Jesus Culture had, after I kind of came out to him, he was trying to help me date. And he's like, hey, I know someone that's really incredible. You should date this girl. And I was like, actually, Makenna seems really cool. She seems fun. I'm like, yeah. And this person was also kind of your mentor at a point too, right?
Yeah. We won't name any names, but I'm sure people will listen to this and, like, put two and two together. He was my youth pastor growing up. Yeah. So we went on a date, and we kind of came to the conclusion that it was a setup, and we laughed it off, right? Like, and we kept dating, went on a handful of dates, and then it kind of just, like, I kind of was new to dating in general because I grew up so Christian, and it was kind of, like, frowned upon.
Yeah.
So without, like, the the end goal being marriage, of course. So I was very new to dating and didn't really know how it worked. I had only like kissed one boy at that point in time. I think it was 21, 22. So I was like, oh, I guess this is kind of normal. Like maybe he's just, because like I think we've only like we only hugged. Like we didn't like ever kiss or anything, but
Yeah, you mean me and you.
Like you're welcome. But
I think so, but yeah, I mean, I can get into that a little. Like, I think we did cuddle a little bit during a movie night.
oh yeah, that movie, yeah.
And then okay, so but keep telling your side, because that was actually a funny night in general. Do you remember that night?
Yeah, so again, I just didn't have a lot of experience dating and was like, I had that mind frame of like, oh, the first guy I date, I'm gonna marry, of course, because that's kind of ingrained in you in
Right.
that culture. And so I was like, oh, like Nate and I were gonna get married.
Oh no. Okay, when you put it that way, maybe I saved you. Maybe I saved you if we put it that way, because that definitely wasn't going to happen with me. So you're welcome.
I really appreciate that.
You appreciate me being a horrible date.
Oh,
that's
my
what you're trying to say. Sorry, keep going. I interrupted you, and I do that.
I don't know. It was just very like I kept getting like mixed signals. Like you would pull me aside and be like, I really like you. I like where this is going. Like I like the pace we're at. You know, you bought me I think a birthday gift. I think it was like a coffee thing, something that has to do with and then like a week later you broke up with me in a Whole Foods.
Okay, wait. There are so many questions to be had
the
here.
Whole Foods restaurant is nice. It's a nice cafe.
Okay, wait.
I broke up with another girl at a health food restaurant. Oh no.
You're so canceled.
I have a pattern.
Okay.
It's your safe space.
What did he say when he slid into your DMs?
I don't really know. I think I don't remember exactly, but it was like, hey, would you ever want to go get coffee? Something very like general.
And what was going through your head during that time?
Well, even before he reached out to me, I kind of had an inkling that someone was like pushing him towards me, like encouraging him to pursue me in that way, just because that's the culture. Like everybody's trying to set up everybody, and so I'm like, I bet like so and so put him up to it, but like I kind of laughed it off, and I was a little excited because I had such little dating experience. So I'm like, ooh, this will be fun. Like I think it'll be fine. It'll be fun. So
were you already getting mixed signals at that point from me?
No, not entirely. I just thought you were a little like awkward.
Me.
Wait, what about Nate was saying, man, this guy's a little awkward or something's off?
What about me wasn't saying that? I also was just awkward. No, yeah, answer that. You can answer.
What about it? I just like, I think he would like try and hang out with me like in groups and then like run away, and then I don't know, he was just very like
flighty,
all over the place,
and
very hard to read, like very aloof but also there at the same time. I don't know if I'm
compared to, because you're engaged or married now?
I'm engaged.
Yeah, you're engaged now, and so you hadn't really dated much, so you didn't have that much to compare it to. But if you compare the way I was acting towards someone that is genuine and like fully, you know, interested, how different is that comparison?
Oh, it's huge. It's like you actually want to hang out with them in person and text them or call them. So that really wasn't there. It was like, you know, every couple days. Like I remember going home for Christmas break the year we met, and this is when we were talking, and you didn't text me that whole week, like for a whole week. And I was like, does he like me or not? Like, what's going on? Then I was like, I don't know what's, like, maybe this is like how it is. Maybe this is normal. Like maybe he's playing hard to get, or I don't know. So Kinda. It was very like confusing.
Yeah.
But I also just in general, like after, I moved home. So after that, I started dating a lot, just like using apps, and dated a couple people that I knew in person. And a lot of people give mixed signals. So I'm like, oh, like, this is how it is. But it definitely makes more sense in hindsight as to why, like, you were giving mixed signals, and I totally understand. And honestly, I'm happy you gave me mixed signals, because if you tried to marry me, we'd be having a different conversation.
This would be different, and then we'd be figuring out what to do with the kids. And yeah, well, that's the thing. And what you were feeling then is genuinely me. I was trying to figure this all out, and you were a piece of me trying to figure that out. Like, my sexuality rested on whether we worked out or not on some level. Because every girl that I tried to date, I'm trying to figure out this giant piece and this whole part of me. And you're going to prove to me that I'm straight if this goes well. You are now carrying the weight. I think you were probably 23 at this point, hadn't dated much. And you were carrying the weight of this 26-year-old who is trying to figure out if he actually likes girls. And in what world does that make sense? Why would you be the one that has to walk through that with me? And I'm not told to be upfront about that. I'm not told to be upfront about that. I was in the closet. Yeah, what was I supposed to But the problem is, it's bad enough for me. That's my journey. But for me to have involved you, again, I'm sorry. I don't know what else I could have done given the direction I was being given and given the world I was in. I had no other options or ideas, but to bring you into this thing that I was going through, that's one of the worst things for me. That's one of the reasons I was so sporadic, because I hated myself for potentially giving you mixed signals. I hated myself for making you feel things when I wasn't reciprocating, and then being told to just continue doing that. The instruction I was given was to continue trying to develop our relationship until it felt connected enough where stuff would shift inside me.
Right.
But I knew in my gut that this didn't make sense. I knew in my gut this felt like shit.
It's never gonna happen.
Yeah. And I'm leading this girl on at the same time. Going through all of that was breaking me apart. I felt like shit the whole time we were dating.
Yeah, and I mean, we can laugh about it now because we kind of are. It's funny that you're flighty and awkward and blah blah blah, but the truth is, you did not deserve to be put through that, or even the messages of you being oh, I'm talking to you this week, I'm not talking to you next week. It is so confusing. Dating is confusing already, but the fact that he put you through that, and I know that you were receiving instructions from somebody who you trusted, who you both trusted. However, it still is communicating to you a message of, am I worthy? Am I valuable? Does he like me? Does he not like me? It's so confusing. And I just hate that you both had this experience where you didn't know the full truth of what was going on with Nate, and you were receiving instructions from somebody you trusted. So this whole situation, now that we're looping back around to it, is interesting to hear from both sides what was going on. And even more, people do commit to marriage under these circumstances. And so yeah, I'm just curious.
It's so much mind control, for sure. And makes me so sad.
Yeah.
For both parties, both parties are, the victims almost. You're a victim too, Nate. I accept your apology, but you are a victim too, and I'm so grateful and happy for you that you're, finally living your truth, and it's so brave of you, and yeah, so I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, again, you are far too kind, because that sucks. I hate that I did that. I hate that I put you through that. You were so young. You were so young. You were a baby.
I was a baby.
You were a baby, and you were so sweet, and I felt Like, it wasn't just someone that had been experienced dating. And this person that told me to date you, I think he thought it'd be good for me to date someone that was newer because I was newer in a way.
Because I wouldn't know the difference.
Like, well, the thing was, maybe I don't know the logic. I'm not trying to assume. No, but just like, oh, we're both immature daters, like something like that. He thought that makes sense. But the thing was, you had no idea that wasn't normal. You didn't have the grid for, okay, this guy's being strange because you hadn't dated a lot of other people. It wasn't the fact that I was putting someone so young. It killed me. I'm like, this person is still just a baby, and I am putting her through so much confusion. And meanwhile, I am tormented. Like, so yes, thank you for being so graceful, because you could totally be mad at me and I would respect that. I wouldn't like hold that against you at all, honestly.
Yeah.
I will say, like, that time when we were sitting on the couch, so I had like 4 roommates at this time, and we were all like working for the church mostly. There's this one night, for some reason, I don't know if it was winter, but everybody just had found girls. And so 3 of my roommates were also like watching this movie with me, and they all had like girls that were like newer. Yeah. And then me and Makenna are there on the couch, and everybody is just like leaning on each other watching this movie. And then me and Makenna like kind of cuddle a little. And I was like, hey, actually, like in my head, I was like, oh, this feels kind of nice. Like, I don't hate this. Maybe there's a chance. But
it's
like,
because it was dark.
Yeah. I mean, and you were nice. So I was like, I like this person. I just remember that night and remember feeling like, what did I feel like when all of a sudden, I think it was the first time we even like cuddled at all, but there's like 4 other people in the room, and like that was our first like cuddle hug
like
thing.
The first time we touched.
Okay, yeah, this is the first time. Well,
leave room for Jesus.
I offered up some great handshakes before then. They're very warm handshakes.
You were handshaking?
No, I'm sure we hugged.
That's
slow
tough.
hugs. I remember like our second date, I think I took you to see Manchester by the Sea.
Yes.
Which is the saddest. I love that movie. It's
super sad
that is
indie
so
film,
depressing.
like very Nate.
And then after,
I'm like, this is like I've never heard of it. I'm like, okay, sure. Movie.
Do you like indie movies?
I don't mind them. I'm not like super into movies. I have like a very short attention span.
Yeah, this was like a 2.5 hour long cry fest.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
I remember
It's
it being
so
very
sad.
sad.
Yeah, no, like I guess I shouldn't spoil it, but like there's like this guy's kids die, and you're just like dealing with his pain. And I thought this would be a great movie for a second date. And
you were projecting your internal world onto this poor, beautiful woman.
and we didn't like obviously cuddle or anything during the movie. I was just like kind of like
sobbing.
both kind of crying to ourselves, and the movie ends, and I'm like, okay, I guess see you later.
Yeah.
And I remember I think you said something about that later, like that date felt weird because I was just like quick 2-hour movie and then peace.
Bye. Okay, I'm curious. So was it right that you saw Nate's video on TikTok of him coming out? Okay, so what was going through your head once you saw that?
I scroll up and I see Nate's face. I'm like, he looks familiar. And then I read the text on the screen and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Nate and he's gay. Like, that makes so much sense. But also,
I get that a lot.
Like a year prior, I saw like your new profile photo on Facebook or something, like super random, and you had like a mustache. And I'm like, is Nate gay? Like,
That's so funny.
like had an epiphany. Like, I'm like,
He's got a mustache.
he's totally gay. And then a year after that, that's when I saw the TikTok and it confirmed it. I'm like, wow, like that makes a lot more sense. And it like almost, I don't know, maybe this is egotistical of me, but I'm like, maybe every guy is gay that like ever rejected me.
Like that Billie Eilish song, I just hope you're gay.
And who would resist this?
Well, that was going to be my
Preach.
next question was,
Preach.
what was before you saw Nate's beautiful mustache that he was sporting?
Apparently I came out several years before when I got the mustache. Now we know.
What were your
The gay
thoughts
stash.
prior to the mustache of why it didn't work out?
I just thought like, well, the reason he gave me was like we were in 2 different seasons of our lives. Like he was a working professional and I was in college, and
I'm so full of shit. I'm so full of shit. I'm so sorry.
I know. Well, and I was like, yeah, like, well, when you said that, I was like, that's kind of bogus. Like, that's weird. You just don't like me. Just say you don't like me. Like, no. I suck. Like,
yeah, okay. We kind of glazed over that. What did he say when he was breaking up with you?
Well, so we were sitting in the Whole Foods restaurant part, like, and he's like, so, like, how do you think this is all going? Which, that was your first mistake.
It was post-church, right? We went right after church.
Yeah, it was right after church, and I had sat with you and your brother, I think, and his wife.
Oh no, and the kids. Oh no, that's not my fault. Okay, it's my fault. Stop. Yep, let me have it. You met the family.
So we go to lunch, and then we sit down with our food, and he's like, oh, so, like, how do you think this is all going? And I'm like, yeah, I think it's going good.
Oh,
because I didn't know. I'm like, yeah, like, the pace is good. Like, I think it's going good. And then I ask him the same question, like, how do you think this is going? And he's like, well, I think that we're better off as friends, and we're in different places in our lives. And do you want to keep hanging out, or should I take you back to your car? I'm like, you can take me back to my car.
Oh my gosh. What are you feeling at this point?
Devastation. Because, I mean, it wasn't necessarily like me having a huge, big, fat crush on Nate. Like, I did have a crush on him. Like, I found him attractive. I liked his company, but it was more so like the idea of like a relationship that kind of like fell through my fingers a little bit, that I had wanted so much. So that was like, oh, no guy is ever gonna like me. Like, it kind of made me spiral a little bit. But then I started dating more a couple years later and was like, oh, it's okay. Like, I can reject other people. People can reject me, and it doesn't necessarily mean anything about me. It's like, but, you know, everything makes more sense in the future, of course. But.
Yeah. And what is going through your head when you're saying we're in different places in life? At the Whole Foods parking lot.
You know, I'm like an adult, and you're just 23. I'm like 26, and you wouldn't get it. You're just a baby. You don't get it. Because I'm so experienced in my non-dating celibate.
Wait, before you, this is a funny anecdote, but when I was hanging out with you at your house, I think I asked like what your Wi-Fi was, and it was like, Wi-Fi need a sandwich. And I'm like, so you're not really that mature.
Also red flag. I think it was my roommate's idea, hopefully not mine, maybe mine.
Anyways,
it was probably
I
mine.
thought that was funny.
No, that should have been a red flag. That should have been the first red flag. He's not just gay, he's also misogynist. Misogynist? I don't know.
Misogynistic.
I'm so sorry again. I forgot about the brother being at church with you, and then you meeting my family, and then asking you how you felt it was going, to then say, yeah, about that. I was like one of the first girls I dated, so I was genuinely just an idiot in general. And I'm so sorry. What was your question?
My question was, what was going through your head when you said this isn't going to work? Like, what was the lead up to that?
So for that whole month, I was trying to feel attraction. I was really just like hoping that it would kick in. I was hoping that like the spark would fly and my physical instincts would kick in once I felt safe and comfortable with you. And then I started to feel safe and comfortable with you and feel connection, while also simultaneously feeling you get more and more connected to me. And my connection just stopped right at the friend level. There was not an ounce of anything romantically or physically, nothing. There was no spark, no nothing. It was just straight up flat. And so I am feeling all those things, and also dealing with this internal crisis because I hadn't tested any of this out that much. My journey was basically just try not to test this and just push it down the road. Like, we'll try dating later when I have the emotional capacity. Like, I don't want to deal. So you were the one that got to feel.
I was the test dummy.
You were the test dummy that my mentor so lovingly put in front of me, and encouraged me to start. Encouraged me I was ready. So I was feeling all of those things. And then when I failed, I felt crappy for having led you on as far as I had, and guilty for that. And then also this massive fear of, I was hoping this would be a relationship for me too that would prove that I could be straight. So I had to feel horrible because I am relatively empathetic. I knew your feelings a little bit. I knew you were feeling pretty attached. And I felt like absolute garbage, while also coming to this insane realization that I don't think I'm attracted to girls at all. And I'm feeling all of that at once. And
that's a lot.
It was the anxiety I was going through that whole month. I don't think you knew, but I was having massive anxiety, like battles. I wasn't sleeping a lot of those nights because I was just like, there's a person I need to figure this out for. This isn't just me I'm figuring out my journey for. There's a person in front of me that's being affected by my lack of knowledge on my sexuality. Feeling all of that and then having to come face to face with you and feel your pain, I wanted to die. I wanted to be out of that room. Do you want to go to your car? Or do you want to keep hanging out?
That's so interesting because you both were grieving the idea of a relationship, and yours was hinging on your sexuality, and yours was hinging on everything the church told you that dating would be like. You know, you meet your guy and you fall in love and it's marriage and destiny, yeah. Let's say we push forward through the future. Nate pushes through his battles with his sexuality and he marries you. How would you have felt in retrospect, having felt not just deceived on your wedding day, but even a further deception of, man, like this guy married me, you know, we possibly have a family now. I guess there's no easy way to ask this, but it was easier for him to cut it off when he did, or would you wanted a further relationship with him?
You know, it's easy to say, I forgive you now, but if we were in that position and we had already gotten married and stuff, I think I would have a little more anger, of course.
Yep.
But not just, I mean, I would definitely, I'm a very empathetic person too, so I can totally see people's sides of the story. And so I think there would be anger, but there would also be like a lot of sadness for Nate, having to go through all of that. The best scenario for me in that position of dating you back then, I think it would have been for you to just let me know. But I know we didn't have that relationship, and you didn't know if you could trust me, right? But I would have been like, oh, that makes so much sense. Like, I wouldn't have pushed anything further. I would have totally respected it, but you know, you don't know what you don't know, and I could have aired your dirty laundry, you know? So
yeah, and I mean, I think not many people knew, period. So telling a girl would have been a lot that early on. But I would say, because, so like we're in a similar world, we were both pretty religious as kids. Like if you found out, if I told you and said, hey, this is my struggle, and this is what happens with a lot of gay guys that marry straight girls, they'll be honest. That's what we're told to do. And probably like at month 2, I'd have been like, hey, this is where I'm actually at. And then
at some point you would have, yeah.
Yeah. What would you have believed that, you know, it still is meant to, like, I'm still meant to be with a girl? Yeah. And would you have gone along with it?
I don't think so.
No.
I would have been like, no, like back then, like I didn't really have, I wasn't as open, but I still wasn't like completely super conservative in that area. So I had an understanding. I had like, I don't know, just like a moral compass of like, that's wrong,
yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't have pushed it any further if you would have told me at any point, you know, before marriage, of course.
Yeah. No, that's good to know. You would have probably you probably would have been the right person to have shaken me out of it had I told you, because we know girls that, I don't know if you know any girls that have gone through that, but a lot of girls will be like, yeah, that makes sense. This is what the church says. Like, you can change. We'll get married. We'll keep working through this. Like, have you experienced some of those relationships?
Not anyone that I know.
Yeah.
I feel like there's definitely those stories that you hear that people are like, oh yeah, he's going to change at some point and it's going to be miraculous or whatever. But I don't know if I ever like personally believed that.
So if I had tried to make it go on for another month, you would have been like, yeah, you're gay, buddy. You're gay.
This is done.
We're not going to live this. And I would have...
We can be friends.
Do you want me to drive you to your car, or
we can drive you to your car, or do you want to keep hanging out?
Yeah, like you were in such a tough spot. I understand why you didn't say that, because you were coming to the realization that you'd never be straight and you're never going to get married to a woman and have that traditional family like the church props up, you know? So...
Yeah, I think...
I'm sure, like, that was just so tough.
Yeah, like Susie said, I think we both had illusions shattered at that point. And I think there's a whole journey that is... You gotta do a whole nother podcast about the dating world, especially, like, our generations, what Christians what Christians, like, paint a picture of as far as dating goes and how it's gonna be. Like, I Kiss Dating Goodbye happened, all this stuff, like... This visualization of you got to find the one and it's got to look like this, it's got to look like that. You're finding this perfect person. You should get married at 21 so you don't burn with, like, you know, passion and all those things. And so you're like, I was dealing with all this like misinformation about homosexuality, and you were dealing with all this misinformation about what dating should look like.
Yeah.
We're a match made in not heaven.
Did you feel bamboozled at all once you saw Nate's TikTok?
No, I didn't. I was actually like so happy for him. I was genuinely like happy for him that he finally was like, you know, able to do that. And I had gone through like a little bit of an unraveling of faith per se.
We've all deconstructed a little bit.
We've all deconstructed. So I had done a lot of like internal work and stuff before seeing that TikTok. So I was like, hell yeah, like, go Nate, you know? So it wasn't, I didn't feel bamboozled. I was just like, that makes sense.
Yeah. Man, that's a lot of grace.
No, I appreciate it.
That's a lot of grace. That's
I
awesome.
will, you know what, I actually did get a little bit of crap from this that you might not have heard of. So one of our mutual friends, I worked with this person knows you, considers you like someone they like take care of. So at work, I get this person come into my office, and she's like, hey, we need to talk about the Makenna situation. I'm like, yeah, okay. And she's like, yeah, we were all talking, all the girls were talking, and we all heard how this situation went down, and this did not feel like a respectful way to treat a woman. And she like lit into me for like 10 minutes about how poorly I handled the situation with you. And I also was made aware that a whole group of girls knew about how crappy I was when I was dating you. And I'm like, yep, I deserve this, because all they said was completely true. Everything she said was accurate. I was confusing. I was flaky. I broke up with you poorly. I was giving mixed signals. Like, I was like, yeah, that's all valid. And now every girl knows that I am a total spaz. And I'm like, yeah, I wasn't even like, and again, like that was this person sharing to a lot of people. That wasn't your fault. But just know, I did get some comeuppance for being an idiot. And honestly, that's dating in general, because I do feel like those patterns I showed with you, I've shown in other like dates, like with men, like, because I'll be like, oh, I'll tell them way too much, or I'll try and like just make them not feel bad by giving them weird information, being like, oh, this is why, or that's why. And it's really like, no, I just didn't feel a connection, and I should just be honest.
Clear as kind.
Clear as kind.
Clear as kind.
Clear as kind.
So true.
Well, I was gonna say Susie's our wise saying person. She reads a lot of Confucius. She just comes up with random wise sayings and she just says them, and we love it and just never stop.
That's Brene Brown. Clear as kind.
Okay, I love her though, but I love her. But yeah, keep with the wise sayings.
Keep with the wise sayings.
Say
well, I was gonna say, in this dynamic, I think I get what stirs in me some anger on behalf of Makenna, because I'm like, man, like it is almost selfish, not because you were trying to be selfish, but it is almost selfish for you to impart pain and hurt onto somebody who's just innocent. And like I'm sure you were really kind, a good friend to Nate, and I'm also angry at your guys' mentor who kind of orchestrated this situation. That was super unfair for both of you, and I would have some Confucius words to say to him if he was in the room. But yeah, I just feel kind of just anger because she was deceived and didn't have the full breadth and knowledge of what was going on behind the scenes. And just thinking about the messages that you might have received throughout this whole flakiness and the breakup. I've been through breakups where it's like, wait, you didn't fully tell me the full reason, and then you find out months later what it was, and you're just like, it caused so much inner turmoil for me, and that was unfair. Like, you have no idea what my inner self-talk was during that time. I'm glad that you have so much grace. You are such a sweet and kind person. You remind me a lot of my friends that I have, and so I'm just angry at you a little bit right now, but also like proud of you for taking responsibility for your life. And
thank you, Susie. I appreciate that.
Do you want me to punch him on your behalf?
I'm still trying to connect with my anger, you know?
No, I want my anger.
Righteous anger.
I need it. And it's a system wherein not only tells me to do what I did, but the system we're in also told you to do what you did. The system we were in also would tell you to marry me.
Right.
That's a system. And I knew better, which is part of the reason I was so conflicted, because I'm like, this feels so wrong. Like, dating someone when I don't have feelings for them feels so wrong. And I was using my brain, not my heart, by continuing to go on with it. My gut was saying, no, this is a violation of her journey and my journey. But I did it anyways. And I still, no matter what atmosphere we're in, no matter like what guidance we're having, we're still accountable for our own decisions at the end of the day. And I made some crappy decisions when it came to dating you. Like, I have to own that. That's part of my thing. And I'm just glad that I trusted my gut eventually and I didn't try and marry someone, because I know people that did. But before we went on that bit, I think I interrupted you. What were you going to say before I did all that? I'm sorry.
Just to go back, just like dating in general is just super confusing and stuff. And after we dated, I started dating more. This is kind of funny and kind of sad and telling of like the culture, but one of the main reasons I deconstructed was dating Christian men.
That'll do it.
Mic drop.
That'll do it. Wah-wah.
Preach.
Yeah,
I love this.
So
tell us more.
I feel like I've always been kind of like a quirky person in general. So like I don't fit the mold of like perfect Christian girl, you know? So a lot of the guys I had dated after Nate, they just didn't think that I was like, I fit the molds, or they didn't think I read my Bible enough, like didn't do all these things that would make me just like them, or...
Yikes.
Yeah, so...
Man, you would have been such a good fake wife. Can I just say, like, I had great...
I know,
you were a great
right?
choice. Like, of all the fake relationships, honestly, we would have vibed.
Yeah.
every way except for the one way.
Yeah, I would have let you do your own thing. Probably divorce, but... I don't think I could like fake it for that long, but I just thought that was an interesting anecdote to add, because like dating in general sucks, but then you add like the pressure of the church to fit a mold and to have it look a certain way, and then you know, the whole thing with sexuality too comes into play for you guys, and it's just a whole mess. And I'm so proud of you, Nate, that you are doing your thing and you got free.
Well, it sounds like you also got free, and I mean, whatever mold the church was communicating to you, you broke out of that and you found the love of your life, it sounds like. And so that's super exciting.
He's so cute too. Oh my gosh.
Cutie.
You guys are
he
so
like gets
cute.
hit on by gay guys all the time.
No, absolutely.
So
like he's beautiful. Like, well done, honestly. You guys look so cute together.
I really bagged a cutie.
Yeah.
I never say that. I'm sorry.
No, I love that you said that, and I can verify. I'll verify it right now. He's very cute. I'm just like, oh my gosh, you got such a good one. Like, you guys just look amazing together, and it is hard. Like, it's hard to find like great guys that are like super good looking and super like smart and emotionally intelligent, and it seems like you found one that has all of it. So
yeah,
Yeah.
She
I
bagged
love
him.
him so much.
You've got goals.
Yeah, exactly.
You got the goals
He's so smart. He like reads a lot and is interested in people's lives, and like, I don't know, it's like very open-minded. So it's exactly what I needed at the time that we met, and it's very refreshing, and I'm so excited to marry him. So yeah.
Closing question here. So, if you were to speak to anybody right now who's listening and they are in a relationship or they're kind of dating someone, trying to work through their sexuality, what would you say to that person? Any wisdom as the woman on the other side?
I would say start broadening your friend circle. I think that's super important, to have like different people in your life to give you different perspective. That is a big reason why I am where I am, because I worked at a place that had like different types of people that worked there, and I'm like, oh, these people aren't that bad. Like,
Yeah.
they're
awesome.
kind of cool and really sweet and nice and like open. And so like if you're in like a church setting and you're only hearing like the dogma that's coming from the stage, it's not beneficial for your happiness and well-being. So just like broaden your scope of reference, I guess.
Yeah. No, that's so true. Yeah.
That's super good.
Yeah.
The bubble. There's so many victims
It's the
of
bubble.
the bubble.
Bub.
If you can't be around someone else's perspective without like feeling challenged or attacked, if you can't understand people that are in a different world, I think that's something you should think about. Like, that's huge. That's really, really good.
Yeah.
I just want to thank you again for doing this, because obviously, like, I text you, I'm like, technically I owe you one, or like owe you 100, but could you do me this favor and be on my podcast? And honestly, like, I love your journey, because it actually reminds me a little bit of mine, just in a different way, like of kind of expanding the way we think. And I don't know, I think like I wish you lived in town, because we'd be buddies.
Yeah. If you're ever in San Diego.
Hey, don't give me an excuse to come to San Diego.
I know.
We're gonna do like a beach podcast, and Susie and me will come down.
we have a spare, or we're gonna have a spare bedroom, so you could
Love
even
that.
stay with us.
Love that for me. Okay.
Thank you for your transparency, vulnerability, and your time. You're the best.
And for not roasting me too hard. I deserved worse.
I'll roast him after this one.
Thank you.
Well, you want to close us out?
Yeah.
Close out the podcast. We're still recording. This is still live.
All right. Close it out.
You're closing it out.
Oh, I'm closing it
Yeah, you have to close it out.
All right, podcast. I tried to be straight. We're closing out.
We're closing out.
Signing off.
Signing off. Peace.
Deuces.
Deuces.